We had an opportunity to review those, and if there is a motion to,
Move to accept them.
thank you, Sally.
Second.
Second by, Ezra over here. And so, ta-da. Let's keep going, shall we?
Sounds good.
Okay. There's nothing under chair's report. I still think there's other important things. I was gonna mention the BAC training, but maybe Tatiana can give us an update on who's completed that. And then I just really wanted to say thank you again to you two for the really amazing onboarding last month. I thought it was really helpful. I brought my, member orientation guide. It's nice to have a new fancy notebook with all the things in it. So I appreciate again, just
It was our pleasure. It was
Yeah.
really,
it was really great,
Put it
and
all
it was
together.
really great to have, Charlotte's last name,
David Hale.
David Hale there. I just thought that was really helpful, so publicly rah-rah.
Thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Victoria. So yeah, I know some of you have had, trouble with the BAC training, and I think we've got that resolved today. I think, if you haven't been able to, log in, check your ACC Gov email later tonight, and you should have, something that says take aim learning something or other. And that will, just follow the prompts, and that'll take you through the training. No one is saying like, oh, you have to get all those numbers or you're fired or anything like that. So just take your time with it, take your time, watch the videos. Some of them are long, some of them are like 20 minutes, some of them are like 45 minutes. So, do them at your own pace. If you can complete them before the next, meeting, that would be awesome. I think a lot of you have. So anyone who's having any issues, just reach out to me and we'll get those resolved. So, yeah. So that's BAC training. The member orientation materials that I went over last time are in a shared folder. I sent that out to everybody. If you need copies of that, just let me know and I'll send you the link to everything so you can look through it. It has the PowerPoint presentations that we went over last time. A lot of the materials that are in your binder, but just digital versions of those. And let's see what else. Oh, and I brought the ACC from A to Z guides for everyone. Those are really fun. They have a lot of cool stats, and it's just a great little directory. Gives you a lot of resources for different things throughout the county, kind of teaches you who does what. We looked at a little kind of organizational map last time. That's in here as well. It has the commission districts and all kinds of things. So it's just a handy guide, and that exists online as well. So if you know anyone who might want something like this, you can get them from our public info office at City Hall, or you can just download it on the ACC website. So I can help anyone with links to that. And another thing that I brought is the public input for the growth map, Athens-Clarke County growth map. There's a lot of different opportunities for public input for different things, different neighborhoods, transportation related, programming related, all kinds of things. So if you, being that you all are so involved in our community already by being a part of this BAC, you might want to be involved in other ways too. Some of these have happened already, but some of these are still coming up, and there's things like walking tours and bus tours and things like that with some of our ACC staff members. And you can help them with a lot of important feedback about different things and, coming up in the next 20 years of our development as a community. So a lot of exciting master planning going on all around. Speaking of master planning, we are, of course, working on an update for our public art master plan. And Stephanie, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about that. We met with Todd last week and had a nice meeting, went over some things, some of our goals, and have given him a lot of resources that he needs to kind of work up a scope of work for us. And so that should be coming soon.
Yeah, we're hoping that by November we'll have like a start date and sort of idea of like what his visits to and the parts that we'll need to play in like helping update our public art master plan. So that Todd can really help us shape like where we're going in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and also help us reflect on what we have accomplished. He wrote the first public art master plan. And so we're hiring him to help us update it. And that will also include like a layer for, or, you know, a treatment about maintenance, which will be really helpful since we are working on that still. And it's an important part of what, now that we have all this art, you know, taking care of it and kind of, I have a lot of ways to sort of formulate that into that plan. So we hope to have like, you know, the schedule and start seeing what that will look like to do this work with Todd over the next year, a little bit less than a year, actually. So that might be some extra moments where we meet outside of this standard meeting time, so we can talk about that and look at people's availability and what that looks like so that we can give him the resources and the information that he needs to help us.
And as far as project reports, some of you may have seen the Athens Music Walk of Fame plaques were installed early last week. And sorry, week before last. And you know, that's something that happens every year. There's no big event for these. They just kind of get installed the wee hours of the morning when it's still cool out. And you know, they have to be pretty strategic about having someone kind of stationed with each one, so we don't have a lot of you know, fingers and initials and, you know, Bob was here and whatever.
Extra artistic
Yeah,
expression.
extra expression on those plaques. So, of course, big thank you to our streets and drainage team. They put a lot of labor and guys on that task for us. We also have the call for poet laureate is out right now. That is open until November 10th. I have had 0 applications so far, but a few inquiries. But make sure if you know some poets that are very involved in the community, this is a really great opportunity for them to be even more engaged and have a, you know, an honorary title and do some special programming for us. I know we have a lot of qualified people to take on that task. And again, we have some time. It's usually at the very end when we get those applications rolling in. But we only had about 9 applications last for our first one, so I'm not expecting a ton. Hopefully more than we got last time, just to give a little bit you know, more options for our selection panel. But we have a great selection panel for that coming together as well. Ezra's one of the selection panel members, Montu as well, who's not here today, and a few other folks from our literary community, from the library, from the school board, and a few different capacities in the county. So ideally we want you know, the Poet Laureate program to be something that's kind of unexpected, you know, not just, you know, obviously beyond the library, beyond, you know, the obvious literary connections, but, you know, to have more programming opportunities elsewhere. So I was going to also have the T-Splost 2023 list for y'all to review. But we're still waiting on the project budget estimates, which of course inform the percentage of public art money that we have for each of those projects. And I think that's gonna help us make informed choices about what projects are not only eligible but suitable. Because sometimes with these T-Splost projects, they're smaller projects, so they don't really have a huge amount of public art money. Sometimes we can combine similar projects and do one project on the site. So we need a little bit more information from SPLOST before we can do that. So hopefully we'll have that next month and then we can go over those. As far as our other projects, pretty much all of our projects are in the contract phase right now. Anything that's been selected past few months, we're still going through contracting. I know that can kind of be like, why does it take so long? Well, it can be really complicated both on the side of the artist and on the side of the county, just making sure that everything is really well thought out. We try to have kind of boilerplate contracts. However, each project is unique and needs kind of different considerations. So sometimes that process can be time consuming. So we have one of our projects, one of our artists is now under contract, Amanda Burke. She's one of our Greenway artists. The reason we haven't announced that project yet, though, is because there's an issue with the GDOT permitting for that site. This is the site that's running right on the side of the loop in the Lexington on-ramp there, right by the Greenway. So it's a really visible wall. You can see it when you're obviously getting on the loop. You could see it from the Greenway. You could see it all the way across from the Firefly Trail across the street, you know, where the racetrack is on Lexington. So of course, there's a lot going on in that area in terms of Georgia Department of Transportation and all kinds of development. So in order to be able to work at that site, we need to be able to permit with GDOT for the encroachment access for that site. So that's something that's still in the works, and we need to make sure that we are going to be able to move forward with that site before we make any kind of formal announcement, because there's a possibility we may have to find an alternative site if the permit can't be received for that. So that's kind of like a worst case scenario kind of thing. We want to kind of keep the original site. In the event that we don't, we have to go back to the Mayor Commission and get approval on an alternative site. So, yeah, just an update on that. But hopefully, we're going to be able to proceed. It's just kind of a extra delay that happens sometimes. So, and that's kind of our project updates. I have a presentation to share about something I've been working on.
I'm gonna give two small updates while you get that queued up. So I spoke with the person from Triangle Artworks about the online class that we're gonna offer for Athens artists around applying for public art projects that I talked about at the orientation. And so we are looking at opening the applications in early December, and then they'll have the selections in we'll advertise it in December, do the selection of the applicants in January, and the class will run February, March. It's 6 weeks. And so I'm really excited about that, because it's gonna be an opportunity for us to also have a person that takes the class that will eventually be potentially trained to be a trainer. So we will teach a person from our community how to teach this course, and then we will contract with them in the future so we can teach this class, you know, to more artists as they apply. So it hasn't been capacity because it's an online class, but I'm hoping, you know, we get 10, 15 people in the first run, and it's very like all the things, and they'll respond to a live call for public art. So it's everything they need to learn how to do a budget, to prepare all of their personal materials, how to actually like write essays and just complete a whole application. And they have some great success stories from some of the alumni that have done the program in North Carolina. So I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a great way to really support the practicing artists in our community, and will hopefully let us see more responses from artists in our community. So they'll basically like have all the tools that they can to respond to the calls, and not just the ones we have, but to anywhere, right? So I feel like this is really a great opportunity for our, and we're going to open it to the artists in Athens like we do, and then also the surrounding community. So we have, I'm gonna touch base with our PIO office to make sure like how we want to do the applications, just to see if they can apply through Triangle directly that has a system, or they'll need to apply through our website. I got to ask some questions around that, but we're well on our way to that. And then the other thing I'm just gonna, we'll have a call going out shortly for the Lantern Parade. So the Lantern Parade will be Saturday, March 16th. And so I wanna be able to offer some, like, it could be an individual or a group, and we're gonna ask people to submit, like, here's my project idea, and then we will do 2 site-specific sort of lighted sculptures that'll happen on the path of the lantern parade, and then 3 awards for either individual artists or hopefully groups that wanna make collaborative, like, large, maybe even make a giant, like, dragon puppet that is lighted and they carry it as a group, so there'll be 3 $1,000 and 2 $2,000. I think that's how I did it. I gotta, yeah, double check the numbers. So we'll put that out as a call locally, and I'll ask some of y'all to be on the selection panel for that. So as we get that, that'll be in January and the event will be in March. And so that will be a thing where they'll execute their project and we will pay them after. So it'll be like the check comes or the payment comes after, but it's falls within purview because it's clearly for a public good at a public event and on public property. So it is like a performance piece, if you will, as the Lantern Parade is largely an experiential participatory art project. So that's, I think, a fun way to get more people involved and also get some people fired up with making and collaborating. So I think that will really add, yeah, there were some people who just like showed up with amazing puppets last year with helium balloons so they could like kind of hold it on a leash and carry it. It was like a lightning bug. It was super cool looking. And so I'm excited to see what people come up with when they have, they know they're gonna get compensated for their supplies, and just kind of encourage people to get together and make stuff for the Lantern Parade, which is free and open to the public, to anyone. And we'll have some workshops held at the Linden House preceding the event, but Saturday, March 16th, definitely mark your calendar. It'll be, a lot of the same sort of vibes as last time, but we're expecting probably triple the amount of people. So it's gonna be a pretty good event. We'll have a different parade route this time because the bridge will be open. Remember the bridge? I don't know if you remember this, but the bridge was like, they're like, it's gonna be open. And then they're like, actually, it's not gonna be open. So,
Very immersive art experience.
yeah, maybe we'll close that door. I don't know if it'll help much, but, that's basically Sweeney Todd rehearsal on the other side of this wall. So, that'll be a fun part of this recording for all of us. Anyway, I just wanted to give you all 2 updates that are pending, and then especially when we start pushing out the call for artists to apply for Triangle Artworks, that online course, I'll be asking everybody to help, like, encourage individual artists. And it doesn't even have to be somebody who's ever done public art before. A lot of people, if they have experience, just like I make art and I sell it in the marketplace, like if it's at a farmer's market anywhere, that is still a person who would benefit from this class, because they might see how transferable their skills are actually to doing murals and to responding to calls for public art. Because some of them are small, some of them are large, but this class really will help people scale to be able to respond to those calls and see their work maybe in new ways that they hadn't before. So if you look around out there around the country, there's a lot of money on the table for public art. There's a lot of work out there. So I think empowering our artists to respond to our calls and to calls everywhere is going to be a wonderful benefit. So, okay.
It's great.
I know.
And one thing to add to that about the Triangle Arts, so with the upcoming T-Splosh projects, I wanted to make sure that we have a lot of projects at different skill levels. So one of the ways to do that is introducing some asphalt art projects, which I think will be great for T-Splosh, and some bus shelter projects. And remember, we do 2 types of bus shelters, the one-off sculptural ones, and then the ones that are made by the regular bus shelter fabricators, but it's a special laser cut design. And again, like those are a couple opportunities for 2D artists that they can submit a file as opposed to like physically installing the thing and insuring the thing and doing the whole thing. So we can introduce some ways to just have different levels of commitment and involvement, different scale. Some of these projects, and those smaller projects might be a great way to kind of introduce some of the artists in the workshop, to apply to a real project with some of those smaller projects that we're doing. So just trying to bring it all together, So one thing that I've been working on for a while is what we're calling community collaboration. So, working? Okay. we'll do that then. So, last time when I talked to you all about public art process, kind of explained how it works, how projects are selected, where the funding comes from, all of that. So with our SPLOST and T-SPLOST projects, it's 1% of that project budget and, goes to public art on that project site. So, and then we go through our usual public art process. And a lot of times I get asked, well, what about projects outside of SPLOST and T-SPLOST funding? Is there just no opportunity to do anything outside of that? Well, there is, but there's no real procedure for how we select those projects. In the past, sometimes they come from commissioners or their elected officials or our residents, might feel strongly about a certain project. But there's no application, there's no way to kind of evaluate or select those projects outside of our usual SPLOST and T-SPLOST cycles. So I'm proposing we create one. Basically, there would be a submittal form for ACC residents or ACC facility staff where they can propose a site, type of art, and budget for a public art project. It would be a time-bound application done annually or every few years. And there would be a set project criteria, which I'll go over in just a moment, that would kind of guide everyone to whether or not their project would be eligible. So then you all, along with Arts Division staff, would review the applications and evaluate based on the established criteria and make a list of recommended projects to be approved by Mayor and Commission. So we would still go through kind of our regular selection and approval process with the Mayor and Commission. This would just be another way for new projects to be introduced. So once those projects are approved by the Mayor and Commission, then we go through the regular RFP or RFQ process and selection process with our residents, and then they would of course go back to Mayor and Commission approval. So what is the criteria? So the criteria, as we've discussed, would be that the projects have to be on ACC property. So it can't just be like, oh, well, I want to put one of those big chickens in my front yard because they're neat and that would be cool. And it's like, well, you can't just put a chicken in your yard because you think it's cool. It has to be on ACC property. It has to have a community benefit. It has to be visible, accessible to the general public. So, and it also has to follow, like I said, the existing procurement. So you can't just be like, oh, well, I want to be the one to do this mural on this site. Like, that would be cool. But, again, we have procurement rules and we have to do open calls and that sort of thing. So it would still go through that process. This would just be another way to introduce some projects. For instance, properties that were built prior to the ordinance of 2011. So I'm going to use the dance center as an example. Some of you who came on the tour got to come to the East Athens Community Dance Center. And the dance center was built in like 2005 or 2006 or something like that. So prior to the ordinance, so they didn't get a percentage for art. There are a lot of facilities like that in the county's collection of properties that could benefit from a piece of public art, be it a mural, a sculpture, a bike rack, or something. Other candidates would be public right-of-way, sidewalks, streets, trails that don't have any funding from other SPLOST or T-SPLOST projects. Same thing with neighborhoods and other places that have clear public right-of-way, but perhaps don't have any public art or any projects coming up for public art for them. So the sample, here's a sort of a sample form. So they would give us their contact info, location, type of art, budget, theme, interior, exterior, and then they would have to answer these questions. Is the site on public county-owned property? Is the site visible to the general public? Is the site accessible for all ages and abilities? So if they answer no to any of those questions, it is not an eligible project. So, and this will be kind of very clearly outlined in the application. There would be an essay for community impact, community benefit, a place to upload site photos or a map, and any additional comments. So here's an example of what the selection panel might see. So those of you who have participated in selection panel, you've seen this for a way to, you know, score any other proposal that we might have. So you can see with these, you can see that we have kind of the answers to those three questions and those first three comments there, columns there. So only one of these proposals is eligible. Can you tell me which one? Can you see it? No, it's kind of small. Number one, that's right, because they answered yes to all of those questions. So if there's a no anywhere in there, then it's a no. And so then as far as like community impact, site compatibility, budget, theme, those things can be scored for each proposal. So there would be a sort of a data-driven way to select these projects based on their community impact and, you know, the criteria. And that's the whole idea.
Tatiana, is this for our funding, for using our funding, or
Yes.
bringing other funding from
No.
the outside?
It could be both. I mean, it could
So-
be somebody's like, they could go out for a grant and ask for a match or something like that. But typically, like, because, yeah, go ahead.
So we have our remaining SPLOST 2011 funds. There's also another almost $100,000 in the capital funds that we get 25,000 each year in the capital funds. And that's just to add to projects, to do projects completely independent of things. So, you know, the SPLOST and T-SPLOST related projects, they have their percentage for funding comes from that project's budget. So that's not necessarily coming from, you know, the public art funds. They can be added to with those funds. This is just another way that those funds can be utilized.
Would we set a budget for that, or?
So that's a good question. Basically, you know, depending on how you feel about this process, you could say, well, we're gonna commit $100,000 to community collaboration. Whatever it might, you know, and that might delineate to 3 or 4 or 5 projects, depending on who applies and what they apply for.
So that would be like a separate call for art?
It would be, there would be a call for applications for, you know, use of the funds. But yes, each one would result in its own call for art.
To me, it feels interesting in the way that it seems like you're looking for the space first, like it's a call to find the
Mhm.
space for art.
Yeah.
And then, once that's checked, then it's a call to art.
Which is kind of how we do it already. I mean, we do site selection first,
Mhm.
and then we put out the call for art.
Mhm.
So it kind of
Mhm.
follows the same process,
Mhm.
to a degree. But again, I mean, I don't know about you all, but I hear from people all the time that are like, oh, well, you know what you should do? You know what you should do, where you should put some art? And it's like, this is a way for people to actually give their
Propose
ideas in a
Mhm.
very productive and, you know, way. And they get to also kind of see like, okay, here's the eligibility. Is this project eligible? And they can kind of educate themselves on how these projects come together. So, you know, that kind of, it gives our community a little bit more buy-in with, in terms of like what projects get selected, outside of, you know, the SPLOST and T-SPLOST cycle, outside of the people in this room, outside of the Mayor Commission. You know, people always want to get involved, and this is a way that, you know, they can be involved in this process, in kind of a new way.
I think of the neighborhood where I live in, a lot of residents are like, oh, somebody should paint a mural on that. I'm on the board
Sure.
and I can be like,
Yes.
I'm gonna direct you to this
Yes.
website where you
If it's
can
on
put all
public
your
property, yeah.
Well, and you don't have to necessarily have that conversation, you could just say, there is a process
Yeah.
for selecting these projects, here's the, application form.
Yeah.
And they go through the process, and, they have to answer these questions, and, understand that if, they don't fit the criteria, then
Right.
it's not like.
Right, I think it's great education
Yeah.
for the public to be like, there's a process here.
And the pricing of like, they may not know what the budget is, but we can help to shape
Sure,
that a little.
that's another thing that we can provide.
It's
kind of
very
like,
hard to-
here's a range, or like, here's kind of the square footage, how you kind of make these, budgetary, like, so give them a range, I guess. And I don't expect that anyone would know exactly, what a mural would cost, what a sculpture would cost, but, just having those, kind of that general idea. We can also provide, like, here's a list of past projects and what they cost, just to kind of give people an idea. This is what Hot Corner mural costs. This is what, Trail Blossom costs, or Rainbow Forest. Just so they can kind of see like the numbers. Because if you don't fabricate things or work, it's basically their construction projects. So sometimes you don't realize how costly some of these big projects are.
Is this something that would just be open all the time as an ongoing
That's a good
something? Or
question.
is there
It
sort of
could
a
be.
deadline, once
It
a
could
year?
be. And then, we could say in the application form, the next evaluation is such and such a date. So if you don't get them in, your request in by such and such a date, then it goes to the next cycle if we do it, fully or biannually or whatever it ends up being. They're still,
Sorry.
I know.
As it gets quiet, you start to tune into the next one. But it does give a chance like for, pocket parks, public buildings, neighborhoods and sides of town that just don't have as much going on. So it gives people something a way for them to, get an idea, and maybe something they're like, they want to honor, a particular symbol or person or subject matter, and they want to shape something around that. So we can, this gives people like at least a way to focus that as an idea, and then we can, as a group, see how it, does it meet the scores and like how we might shape that. So it's a really nice way to invite people into the public art process that operates outside of SWOSC, right? And we kind of have the mechanism, we just have never had a mechanism for it, but Tatiana's been working on this for a while. So we felt like this was a good time for us to try it out. I mean, admittedly, we don't have it all completely, we've never done it before, so bear with
Right.
us, but I feel like it's a worthy endeavor that we should give it a try.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
There's definitely a few variables. One is the amount of money that's being committed to it. It could be a set amount. You could wait until you see what the applications are and then say, oh, these are great projects. Let's commit, $200,000 to it or something like that. And then how often would this, process? I think it would be great to have sort of rolling applications, just so there's always a place for these requests to go. But again, there would have to be, deadlines and, review periods and things like that, so.
Tatiana, what's the request of this group as you're in the middle of, I know we don't have it all figured out, but
Right.
what is your expectation of people on this team? Do you want feedback in an email? Do you want to go through round two and present kind of where you land next? Or how can we be?
Yeah.
How can
I'd
you
love
leverage the,
feedback,
yeah,
and then maybe, vote on it maybe next month.
okay.
So everyone has some time to think about it. Anyone who wasn't here tonight can watch the video and kind of see the concept. But yeah, for me, it's like, where could this go wrong? That's usually where, I kind of have to, and sort of prepare for that. But I think it's just really important that we have, really thoughtful criteria, make sure that it's very clear. And personally, I will commit to making sure that everyone who does apply, if their project doesn't get selected, that they know why.
Mhm.
So next time there's an opportunity, they can come back and maybe flesh it out a little more. Or maybe they have a different site, but the idea is good. Or it wasn't on public property before, but now they understand that portion of it and can come back the next time. So it's not like, oh, your project was a terrible idea. Like, I want everyone to feel like they're bringing, good ideas. But, sometimes we need a little more than just a good idea. That's it. So nothing to necessarily vote on tonight. I just kind of wanted to introduce the concept of it and get everyone's kind of.
Yeah, I think it's great too. I think then the call to action to this team is to really think about it and offer some really strategic feedback, either through email or however we want to give that feedback between now and the next meeting so that we can vote on it and get it moving forward. I love the idea. I think it's a great data point too, especially over time and thinking about this new master public arts plan, like how many do we get in a year compared to last year, compared to the next year, so that we can kind of, it's just a great data point to measure engagement, understanding, and the community's perspective about public art. So from that perspective, I really love it.
Yeah.
I think my hesitation right now would just be workload on you. I think the good news would be if it was just like dozens and dozens came in all at once.
Right.
That probably won't happen, but
Right.
that would be a good problem to
Sure.
have. And how can we support, should that become a problem?
Yeah.
I think I'm just trying to think through some of that.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And that would be, that would be something that would be part of the discussion
Yeah.
too. And that's why, just like with the SPLOST and T-SPLOST project selection, that's staff and you all working together to kind of make sure that like, okay, this is not only what is eligible and suitable, but this is like what can be realistically carried out in however, the amount of time or the amount of resources that we.
Yeah.
What might be kind of fun is to dovetail or tie the Triangle Arts training together with this, and maybe, a project can grow out of this training session that could actually have some funding behind it.
Yeah,
As an end.
we've been brainstorming about that. So yeah, I was talking about that earlier today. So we've thought about a number of different projects. So this might be weird to see all the timing layout, but it's possible. And we are excited to have like a whole new cohort of Athens artists who are excited to apply for local calls, right? So that could be as soon as the course runs February through March. It'd be good timing to open up, have some new calls. So yeah. This kind of started because like we're trying to figure out the art and community, like how to revisit that, as well as the East Athens Educational Dance Center, who's in the arts division with us, have long wanted to have art out front of their building. And so Nina was just like, how do I get some art? And so that's kind of, they became like a little bit of a case study to see like, what would that look like? And so was the sort of the inspiration for how Tatiana developed this program and this whole concept. So that's, they will likely submit an application, but I think there's many places that we'll hear from, and I think that's exciting. It's gonna be interesting to get this idea out to people and hear what they are interested in having and where they're interested in having art. I think, because normally, like I said, the site is dictated to us by whatever SPLOST project or capital project it is. So this is like a different way of listening for where people want to see work and have like meaningful gathering spaces in their neighborhoods. So I'm kind of excited just to hear what people come up with.
Yeah, and I always think of anything like this that's new as a pilot. So I think again, for this team to sort of be thinking about how would we measure success? What does it look like in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? And at what point do we come back as a team and be like, how did it go? How's it going?
Right.
And what do we need to change, improve, address, whatever the things are? So just try to begin with the end in mind, and what is that? The end is at some point, we want to kind of evaluate your workload, our engagement. I just am trying to think through that piece of it and a timeline that makes sense.
And again, like,
there's always been this opportunity to do projects outside of the SPOS and T-SPOS. There just wasn't really a data-driven approach to how those projects were selected in any way. And there was no kind of conduit for people to bring us those ideas outside of just someone talking to the merit commission about, oh, well, my neighborhood, has this history and we need to do this. I mean, that's great. But there needs to be something, very defensible and data driven and how those projects are selected. So no one feels like they're, we're playing favorites with any particular person or neighborhood or commissioner or anything like that. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And that's, pretty much it. Helen, do you, want to talk about the website at all? Well, yes, I've been in communication with Mike at Captivate, who is the primary guy in charge of developing our website. And we're pretty much like 90%, I think, maybe even 95. It's really there. So we just have to do some tweaking and we're trying to get a meeting.
Yes,
Tatiana
yes, I
and
saw that.
me are going to meet with Micah and just do the last fine tuning and then have you all look at it and make sure that, all the Ts are crossed and Is are dotted and all that kind of stuff. And then we can roll it out, launch it. And it's looking really fabulous. It's gonna be such, a cleaner, nicer experience looking at our website. And we have some mapping so that you can see where our public art is in the city, which I think is gonna be a huge tool for the public, in addition to just showcasing everything that we've done since 2011, which is a lot. So, cool.
Thank you. for
That's
your
awesome.
On that, I know it's a labor of love, so appreciate it.
Been wanting to do this for so long.
You're 90, you said 90 to 95, I'm gonna go 95, you're 95%
I think we
finish
are.
line.
I think we are. So, I don't think I'd really like to get it out to y'all this month and then maybe our next meeting, we can, I don't know, if we need a vote or whatever and launch it.
That's good. Yeah.
Cool. It's a soundtrack I don't know. I wish I could pipe in and sing along, but it's just not.
Well, I'll tell you what happens. They keep saying, attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
The problem is everyone in that audience is already attending the tale of Sweeney Todd. It's like, and then there's some cannibalism and that's it. That's pretty much it. You don't even know anything. You know.
We keep getting questions about like, what is the acceptable age for someone to be in there? She's like, so we're going with PG-13
Yeah.
Fair.
is what it is. So,
Any other new business or anything else anyone wants to share? Upcoming events, anything exciting happening in your worlds? Obviously, this is happening when tickets on sale, November.
They are on sale now.
Correct.
And also the
They're
East
selling
Athens, the East Athens Educational Dance Center's fall showcase is at the dance center this Saturday night. Tickets are $10 and there are some left for that. And then also on Sunday, this coming Sunday, and I think it's at 3 p.m. is this film, it's a documentary film called Unspoken and the Morton Theater Corporation that Kim is also on the board of. That's our partner organization for us in the arts division. They're showing a documentary by a local documentarian from Monroe, Georgia, Walton County, that is about the history of some of lynchings and just some local history there that is, and then we'll have a panel discussion afterwards. So important and local work. So that is happening Sunday at 3 p.m. That's free at Morton Theater. So the Morton Theater Corporation is presenting that documentary.
And Kim just text, hey, I'm not there. Please talk about Unspoken.
Wow.
I got that. She delivered that right to the brain.
Oh, tell Stephanie thanks.
Also, next Thursday, if you guys want to see the Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters movie is screening for free at Walker Park. That's our Movies by Moonlight. We're doing that for our Halloween thing. So Leisure Services is hosting that. So if you want to come and see Venkman and all the boys, Sigourney Weaver, there'll be at Walker Park next Thursday.
Yeah,
I
if you
think-
haven't done any of those movies, they're so fun. Bring up, chairs, picnic blanket, lots of snacks.
Comfy.
They usually do some fun like decorations around Halloween, so it's fun and it's free. So that's next Thursday. And then also here, Boo in the Zoo, like there's Leisure Services like completely we have so many things going on. We had to move stuff around because we were stretched too thin. We didn't have enough people for everything. So we had to rework, allocate folks so that we could have multiple events. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but
Awesome.
there's a few, from our side.
And I know Dee Dee would want me to mention that there's all new shows at the Linden House, video show, paper show, the school wood pieces,
are amazing.
really neat stuff. So.
Dolls, the
Oh,
community
the
collectibles,
dolls,
yes, a lot of dolls
Yes.
from all around the world. And then local woodturner Abraham Tesser has his maquettes. It's like the smallest, most beautiful wood, like rocking chair. It's so gorgeous. Have you seen them? They're so beautiful. They're really gorgeous. They're like these little versions of it's like quite a small table, which is funny because it's right across from the dolls and you're just like, this. I do find it that way. Anyway, so the Linden House is like all new, beautiful exhibitions, and we had a great showing, huge turnout last Tuesday night for the openings for that. So there'll be artist talks throughout the fall.
Tatiana, are you doing something with your pictures from Morocco also? Or?
I did some small mixed media pieces that were inspired by my trip to Morocco. They're on view at the library right now, up until December 3rd.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so in the upstairs in the little quiet room.
Okay, awesome.
Well, yeah, Dee Dee will be mad if I don't say that, not this Saturday, but Saturday, the 28th of October, the Linden House Art Center, we have rented a steamroller. We are going to drive it over some inked carved plates and make some very large scale printmaking. So with a steamroller that we've spent. American
I just want to go and see it. I just want to watch.
So yeah, she put together, a bunch of great wood, workshops. So the first one was last weekend, there's another one this weekend, and then there'll be the one that day. And that they are working on these large, plates that they're carving communally. And there's a bunch of local artists and a bunch of people signed up for it, but anyone can come and see the steamroller drive over things in the parking lot of the Linden House. We've never done anything like this before. I'm unfortunately out of town. I don't even get to see it, but I'm so excited. Everyone's really excited. We've had a lot of people calling about the steamroller, so
What time is that? So
I have no idea.
okay.
But it's on.
That's something that I asked to do it.
No, we have a new staff person at the Linden House who's doing all the adult programs and running our studio membership. He he's a printmaker and he moved down here from Knoxville, and this was one of his first projects. And so I was like, sure, well, let's do it.
I love it.
Dee Dee put it all together with all the different pieces of funding and just the class and the whole thing. So, yeah, exciting. Steamroller. So it's a spectacle in and of itself. So come see that. And that kind of, they've made paper. So that goes with the collegiate paper making exhibition that's at the Linden House. And that's connected to work they're doing at the Lamar Dawes School of Art. So they're making paper and they will bring that large sheet of paper to the Linden House so that they can print onto it with the steamroller that day. So it's everybody's getting it up.
That's incredible.
Super fun.
We're getting ready to launch another Art Deco downtown development. Arts Council, and so that will be a new upcoming.
Awesome. Marissa, thank you for taking minutes.
I'll type them up and send them
Send to me and Tatiana
Okay.
together and we'll get it where it needs to be. Motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in.
Second.
Love it. Thanks, y'all. That's great. Thank y'all.
If anybody wants to step next door and lay eyes on these people singing, I'm gonna pop over there. And they said that we were welcome to peek in, so if anyone feels so inclined. But if you wanna save up for seeing the show, tickets are on sale. Thanks, y'all.
so much for your time.
I know,
So much for
so busy.